Hello, and I truly do hope you're having a swell time. Welcome to Enterprise Weekend, reaching you from Enterprise Television. I am Henry Iwebike. We start with our newspapers today, and right after that would be a main conversation also. Please do well to be part of what we do. Have a say in what we say. You can find us, reach us when you visit us at enterprisetvnews.com. You may equally like, comment, and follow us on all our social media platforms at Enterprise TV7. Very so honored to have with us joining us live right here from our headquarters, Emeka Madunagu, journalist, public affairs analyst, to see through all that we have from our newspapers and possibly get us through our main conversation for today. Good morning, Emeka, and welcome.
Good morning, my pleasure.
Thank you so very much for your time. So let's start today, interestingly, with the first daily on our desk, Saturday Vanguard it is, and we have the big story. Drug promotions flooding social media. How patients go blind, suffer stroke, experience kidney failures. We have a laundry list of riders to that particular story. Let me just take two of them. We have miracle promises are killers, and that's coming from medical experts, and equally situations unethical, life-threatening. It's coming from doctors. Bypassing pharmacies may cause mortality, and that's coming from the Pharmaceutical Council of Nigeria. And we are monitoring online pharmacies for fake drugs. That's coming from NAFDAC also. And on the top strip, we have Fubara resumes pledges loyalty to Tinubu, and Nyesom, Wike, his boss and political advisor. We have on the downstrip there, Plateau, we are reviving agriculture. Others are amidst a struggle with insecurity. And equally, we have other interesting stories. Renting peace in the north. Why new deals with killers may fail again. We have another vintage one here. That Tafawa Balewa's vacation in retrospect, remembering a better yesterday. Emeka, let's start with the proliferation of drug advertising on social media, especially in Nigeria. How patients go blind, suffer stroke, experience kidney failure as a result of a myriad of some of those drugs peddled on social media. Social media is great, it's good, but comes with effects such as what we have just seen reported on the Vanguard newspaper.
Well, thank you very much. People should be aware of self-medication. It makes sense to consult a doctor when somebody is ill or feels certain things are not working well with them, with their system, and so it makes sense, consulting all these people on social media. I mean, some of them are just quacks. Like one of them was cut out recently. He had been giving recommendations to people to men, about how to elongate their, their private member. And, later people called him out that he was lying. And, of course, it was established that many who found the recommendations to be not to be working were too ashamed to come out to say that, hey, this your stuff is not, this stuff is not working. So that was why, but it was, I think somebody now maybe heard or noticed and took him over and said, wait a minute. So since then, he has not come out on X. So the thing is this, even while you want to get recommendations from social media, consult a doctor.
So does it mean we might possibly get rid of travel medical ingenuity?
No, that's why what I said encompasses everything.
So if you needed a travel medicine, you need a doctor to give you the advice on whether to do that or not.
First of all, everybody must be responsible for their health. Try to eat good food, try to sleep well, try to rest well, avoid staying in a toxic environment That's talking about, you know, a place with toxic fumes from generators and from, you know, and from other things that could endanger, like even all these devices. You're going to bed, don't keep your phone too close to you. Don't keep your power bank too close to you, your laptop, your devices, you know, things like that. Sleep in a quiet and dark environment, you know, so that you can enjoy your sleep. And then, of course, if you notice certain things are not okay with your system, then you see a doctor. But you see, yes, about tradomedical. I hope that our tradomedical practitioners will continue to improve their art to the point where they can be, you know, fully drafted into the conventional medical practice. But what you find are just vendors, street vendors, you know, moving about with different kinds of concoctions.
But do you doubt the efficacy of some of these things?
Well, there's even no efficacy because
there's no efficacy in tradomedicine.
No, not tradomedicine.
Okay.
No, what I said is that whatever it is that people have to take, you have to be sure it has a NAFDAC number, 1. 2, the producers should provide a text system, you know, an SMS system that can, you know, you send an SMS to a number and then you get a response to say that this, that what you want to buy is genuine, is not adulterated. That is 1. And then 2, of course, has gone through NAFDAC checks and found to be, you know, that. But again, whatsoever you take into your body, you have to be very careful because your body will have to do some work to digest it, you know, and absorb it. So all in all, people should be careful about the things they take. Because when you find the street vendors, they just mix one thing or the other. What do they know? They don't have any medical experience.
I really love the fine art of their mixture. You know, they have a way of doing it without regulations for quantity.
The health authorities should actually look into that because a lot of them sell sex stimulants, basically.
Yeah.
A lot of them, you know. And then they tell you they have mixtures for waist pain, for rheumatism, for malaria, and all of that. But all in all, you know, I think people should just try to be careful.
All right, people should be careful. Of course, we'll have to give it up to you know, the very dark man that was in his earlier days of advocacy. He was really down on ensuring that all of those social media advertised, you know, medicines that cure lots of things. He ensured that some of them were brought to limelight to agencies to ensure that they were, you know, checked. Especially the slim things, you know,
it's all over the
drink
world.
and slim this and all those things. Yeah.
Didn't a former first lady go to Spain to do a tummy talk and she died? She didn't die here. She died in Spain. So that is see, whatever you say in Nigeria,
yes,
you will find it all over the world, but at different levels.
Yes.
So that is why if you find an artisan that cheats you here, an artisan is you're very likely to find the same thing, even in higher degrees, at a higher degree, in other parts of the world.
Okay.
The only thing is just exercise caution.
All right. All right. Very careful, everyone. Be careful what you take. The human body, the human anatomy is still very fragile. And sometimes we shouldn't believe or think that we are superhumans and therefore we might do superhuman, extraordinary things. It's just very fragile, every part of the human anatomy. But let's take a look at the late Tafawa Balewa. And we have here his vacation, of course, since he left us, in retrospect, remembering better yesterday. Emeka, let's compare him to what we have today. He was the Prime Minister in First Republic, and we have President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Do you have anything you have to say? Compare and contrast. Let's see.
Oh, well, I can't compare them because
please help us. Help us. You're a historian. Help us.
They are different epochs. They have different eras.
No governance, that is, of course. There's a standard to every leader.
That makes it worse because
yes.
Tinubu is an executive president.
Okay.
While Tafawa Balewa was a prime minister, he had a president. He also had the opposition. But the sad thing was that the politics played in the First Republic was not allowed to develop to the point where politicians could start understanding each other. I believe if the January 15, 1966 coup had not happened, and if a state of emergency had not been declared in the western region, then I believe that I think somehow the crisis would have been better managed. Because of course politicians were playing in Nigeria. Our problem is ethno-religious bigotry.
It has always been
in other parts of the world. Yeah. There is racism, masked as in different ways. Yeah. So Tafawa Balewa was an interesting prime minister. I mean, if you go back to his speech at the United Nations, people still point to that speech. It was in 1964, so where, and his diction was fantastic.
Awesome.
His diction was fantastic. He was a teacher. He was a school teacher, and he would fly to his home in Bauchi, stay with his family, sit on the floor, like a typical northern, lower class person.
And sorry to interject on that particular, because you talked about diction. What is wrong with us these days that those in the academia, even our leaders, don't, when they speak, you ask yourself, what are these people talking about? Is it not the same English that was taught, back in the days that we still learn today? What has gone wrong?
No, nothing has gone wrong. I think, thank God you raised that. It's an ongoing debate in the teaching system. There is a school of thought that says children should be taught with phonics.
Okay.
Instead of with symbols. In school they tell you A for apple, B for ball, C for car. Yeah. But some people say no, that you should go to the phonetic symbols. A, B, that you should teach children, so that they can recognize and understand the phonetic, the phonetics behind every letter, every word. That way you will get people to better communicate. I think I'm not very sure, but I think that's what they used.
Okay, that was what they got right back in the days.
Yes, in the days.
Because you heard those Nnamdi Azikiwe impeccable.
Yeah, no, but some of them schooled abroad. Well, also schooled abroad, so the environment.
Okay, the environment had a little bit of change.
And then, of course, then you had the literacy. So they went through stand 6, what they call standard 6 there. And they had to write, even the writing in cursive and all of those things. So they were more thorough. The colonialists, I'm sorry, I don't like to use that word, master. The colonialists were more thorough in terms of the kinds of, the way they, got education imparted to the people.
Because when you hear the likes of Yakubu Gowon, Odumegu Ojukwu speak, and you compare it to the CDSs that we've had in Nigeria, you ask yourself, is it that these people didn't understand the rules of engagement when it comes to communication and delivery?
Let me tell you something. It is also, while one of the things I tell my children is this: your mother and I can do so much for you, but there is also some of the things you need to do for yourselves. You need to appreciate the fact that you must, engage in self-development.
Okay.
This generation is even lucky. They have a technology with them, so it's there. You have access to YouTube. So if you want to increase, instead of getting stuck on TikTok, watching people dancing and some unhelpful videos, you can go on YouTube. I want to learn how to speak better. A lot of these big men, they have votes for their offices, for different things in their offices. What will it take you just to get data and sit back, or even get somebody to teach you, or even you can get some of these things, online, can download and sit down. But the problem is lack of intellectual rigor. People just want to start and go. Okay, look at Nigeria. Go to the medium-term expenditure framework for 2025-2027. I think between pages 50 and 52. You will see somewhere where the government of Nigeria said that its economic plan is taken from an IMF document.
Yes.
How do you look at that? They are not even ashamed to say it. They are not even ashamed to tell you that the economic measures they are taking, the reforms they tout, are not originally their own ideas, but are taken from the IMF. So when you have that, it's an entire government taking its economic blueprint from a foreign institution. What is it? Is it in pronouncing words that you would expect excellence? No, and that is what permeates the entire system, from top to bottom, from bottom to top. There isn't that, there isn't that attention to details. There isn't that agenda that, okay, we must attain this. Or, people are still stuck in, I don't know what Azikiwe had a quarrel in 1961, in 1950. Mm-hmm. What has that got to do with you? Ask them, look, those nationalists,
yes,
they live better lives. In the 60s, my father went to the University of Ibadan. They were two in a room. They had chicken and all of those things. In fact, a friend of mine told me that there was a time when, they will hold parties that, I think people, in university that will hold parties. They would, how much was a meal then? So they will gather money, they'll save enough money, gather it. And then the food they will serve at those parties was the food they bought. So they had a lot of rice, yes. They put everything together, hold a party, and that was what they served to people. So they lived better. And you are comparing yourself to them. So that is why there is so much chaos in our system today. Because people will tell you, it is that, our forefathers. I asked them, I said, do you know you are just displaying, cognitive dissonance? Your forefathers didn't have a mobile phone. Your forefathers didn't have the internet. They didn't have social media. They didn't have all of these tools.
Yes.
How can you compare to that time? People say, let's go back to the religion of our forefathers. Say, if you want to go, if you even want to worship yourself, please go ahead. Don't drag me into your lack of, cognitive appreciation. Whatever you like, you can go and worship. That's your business. But the fact of the matter is that after, in the worship of God, you should also realize that in you are qualities of godliness.
Yes.
And one of it is the ability to create, the ability to design, the ability to conceptualize. We wouldn't be here if all these lights, cameras, and all this, if people did not think about them. In form, in design, in conception, in everything. If people didn't think about this, we would not be here. Maybe we'll still be fanning, by the way, fire. How was fire discovered? There was a time in this world, in the world, that people were not using fire.
Very well.
How was fire discovered? How did we not get to the point where the mobile phone, people felt, communication had to be personal.
No. Yeah.
And they started working on it. Now they're talking about blindness. That in Australia, they've developed a device, a bionic eye. Russia says it has found a vaccine to cure cancer. These are advances. People are thinking, but what we are thinking in Nigeria is that, these people should go back to their place. They are doing this. this and that. You forget the fact that today I tell people that the language of the world today is coding. Just like in those days when our forefathers many years ago, they wrote things on caves, on walls and all that. You had all those inscriptions, those in CBD inscriptions, those knock, terracotta, all those things. Now they have been. You even had the Ifa, you know.
Yes.
You even had the Ifa. You had all of that was derived from Ifa, and then today those things have become a part of the educational system globally. So we must discard all these lazy mental attitudes and embrace change, embrace development, look into the future. We have many problems. Like somebody said, for God so loved Africa, that he gave us many problems. Solve one, and you build prosperity. And that is the way the world is. Yes, that's the way the world is. The world is now the developed world. I'm sorry to use that word, They're not talking of airport taxes. So you just want to hop, air taxis, I'm sorry. You just want to get somewhere, you hop on a taxi, an air taxi, and it zooms off. They're talking of different innovations. Innovations here and there. That is why it's also good for Nigerians, for people to travel. But the sad things that you see Nigerians living in all these countries, where they see these things, they are the worst. The thinking of some of them is so. You just wonder whether when they walk through the streets, whether they walk with their eyes closed or their brains shut down. Because you will expect that when people are in a sophisticated system, that their mindset will change, their worldview will change, their attitude to things will change. No. They are even worse than people here. Some even call themselves lecturers. There is one like that on X. The kind of things he propagates on X. And this is a lecturer in UK. If he's watching this thing, I'm telling him it's a disgrace. It's a disgrace to academic accomplishment. He has a doctorate, but he's a total disgrace. When you learn, when you as you rise in academic accomplishment, your worldview should be refined. Your worldview, the way you think, the way you look at things, you change.
So very interesting, actually, Emeka, that we actually, started from, late Tafa Balewa and everything he has going on, and how that, if we compare it to what we have today, there is so much disparity that we really need to fill in that particular blank space. But let's quickly go on to the weekend trojans before we call it a wrap for this particular segment. Who succeed Yakubu as INEC chair? Emeka, should Nigerians really care about that?
Well, the thing is this. Yes, because of the system we run, the centralized system we run. Otherwise, if we had restructuring, if we had a restructured federation, should we really bother about who is the president? Apart from just going to vote, you should bother more about the local levels. Who is your councillor? You should bother more about who is your councillor, who is your, who is your local government chairman. You should bother more about such, not bother about, who is being chosen as INEC chairman. Because INEC doesn't conduct local government elections. But you see the shenanigans you find at the national level have permeated, to the grassroots. So states don't conduct local government elections these days. What do they conduct? Coronation. In some states, they don't even vote. People will be at the polling center and you just see elections. Election results are announced. So we continue to drag ourselves back. And we think that we are making progress. Let me tell you something. The world will surprise us one of these days. When we begin to see that we are nothing, we don't, in fact, maybe the world doesn't have any use for anything from Nigeria, including the people in Nigeria. But the world gets to a point where even your raw materials, and they don't even need it because they have developed scientification to the level that they don't need your raw materials and all that. Then we will be forced to think with our education, we'll be forced to refine our ways. The money wasted on elections, it can be
put into better use and
billions and all of that.
Grow the economy.
Better use. You see somebody, you just go and pick one lout, one thug from somewhere, and make him a local government chairman. Somebody who cannot even organize his own home. Somebody who cannot run a kiosk, you make him a councillor. You make him a governor. I mean, look at National Assembly, look at state assemblies. You see people proudly telling you anything the president brings will rubber stamp it. What does it show? It shows people actually questioning the integrity of their education.
That is it.
Because even in an office, even when your boss sends a memo to you, or your colleague sends a memo to you, the subordinate, you are supposed to go through. You are supposed to point out that no, this is not this. No, I think this should read this way. This should be changed. But somebody just says whatever the president brings will rubber stamp. That tells you that person's education, honestly, it's a lot. It's it leaves a lot to be desired. People should talk about things that challenge their intellect every day. That's how we have a better society, not a society of yes men. And that is why Africans generally have been unable to really appreciate democracy. We are so monarchical in our thinking. The king has said, who is the king? Who is he? He said, no, human being like you. What gives him? It was an archaic idea that, the king has spoken, and that should be final. He should not be challenged. That's utter nonsense. That is why you see people calling for the abolition of all these monarchies, all these kingdoms, all these traditional rulers. People calling all that system should be abolished.
But unfortunately, it has migrated or soaked into the political class that we have. Rather now, it is beginning to look like
Baba Sokwe.
Yeah.
That the Godfather has spoken. Yeah. Who the hell is he? I'm sorry to use that word. Who the heck is he? Let's engage in debates. I do that in my home a lot. I say, okay, this is my idea. What do you think? Can't impose things on, because let me tell you, there's what is called malicious obedience. When people obey you with some malice in them, ultimately that thing will fail. Because you are not allowing them to bring out the best in them. What they are just engaging in is, okay, well, I don't want trouble. Okay, let me just accept. But deep down, that person knows that what you are saying he or she should do is utter nonsense.
Really well.
But it's sad the way we think the world gives a hoot about it. Let me tell you, the whole of Africa. I did a course at Lagos Business School some years ago, and we did a comparative analysis of what different continents were contributing to the world. And what did we see from Africa? Just 2%. So that means the world can do without Africa. The world can just close its eyes, look away from. If I just even wipe off Africa,
like it never existed.
Like if you look at the map of the world from North Korea, there's no Africa there. Look at the map.
Really?
Google it. The map of the world by a North Korean leader. The way he drew. You won't see Africa there. So why can't we just do things the right way? Why? You express your intentions in an election. We are not talking of who succeeds Yakubu. Yakubu has not been a fantastic INEC chairman. So I don't even expect anything better, because the electoral law is faulty. The constitution is faulty. So when the foundation on which you set a building is faulty, what do you expect about the building? So now that is the problem. Everything is faulty. So the INEC chairman, there's a section that talks about results, collection of results. He says there shall be transmission. Somewhere again it says there shall be transfer. Now that is the problem. Because transmission and transfer mean two different things. They don't mean the same thing.
Okay.
They're not even synonyms. Transmission is not a synonym of transfer. Transfer is not a synonym of transmission. But they are there in the laws. So a lot of things need to be changed. Then who appoints the INEC chairman? It should not be in the hands of the executive. Then we need technology. The beavers, the IRF must go into the Electoral Act and into the Constitution, not staying in the guidelines to conduct of elections as issued by INEC. Those are the problems. And then we need responsible politicians, not adventurers, not people who are out to go and loot the treasury. And then that's when we can have a serious electoral system. Otherwise, it will just be a sham. Even if you or me becomes INEC chairman, we will still end up with the same thing. You have a collation of results at ward and local government level. How has it helped? We say results should be transmitted from the polling units to the IRF, but the IRF was switched off during the transition of results of presidential election in 2023. So when you have people who are patently dishonest, cannot speak the truth. Truth is not a standard. What do you expect?
Very well true.
The electoral system will remain a sham. That is what we have.
Very well true, Emeka. And of course, no one is obliged to any system of indenture servitude at this particular point. You know, it's the desire of everyone to speak out, just like we have going on right here on Enterprise Television. Because if we do not, then we might be, of course, held complicit for partaking in the distrust, especially from Nigerians, over what we have today going on. Just to let you know, people, Emeka will be here to take us on our main conversation. That is when we return. Fubara resumes promises unity and development for Rivers. That in the beat is still Enterprise Weekend. Please don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Thank you so very much for standing in. And if you just joined us, this is still Enterprise Weekend. Reaching you from Enterprise Television. Let's head straight to our conversation for this morning. Rivers State Governor Siminalayi Fubara officially resumed duty on Friday after 6 months of emergency rule, pledging loyalty to the President Bola Tinubu and the Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Nyesom, Wike. In a statewide broadcast, he admitted that the past months had been enormously challenging, but said he chose peace over litigation by not contesting the legality of the emergency declaration. Fubara commended the president for brokering reconciliation among political stakeholders and vowed to work harmoniously with the State Assembly and other leaders to entrench lasting peace, stability, and unity in Rivers State, Nigeria. The governor expressed gratitude to Rivers people, political leaders, traditional rulers, and civil society groups for their patience and support during the crisis. He assured citizens that his administration will return focus to governance and development by completing key projects in infrastructure, education, and healthcare while reviving the state's economy. Upon arrival in Port Harcourt, to a jubilant crowd, Fubara said he was humbled by the overwhelming show of love and solidarity, promising to carry everyone along as he works to rebuild trust, foster inclusiveness, and secure a peaceful and prosperous future for the Rivers people. I still have with me Emeka Madunago. Thank you so very much, Emeka.
Thank you very much.
Emeka, if you listened to the reportage there, where he said that he would continue with infrastructural deficit that were left hanging. So does that mean that the sole administrator was just there doing what he knows how to do best? Then the question is, the budget that he had allowed, of course, made possible by the National Assembly, what was it there for then? Was it to pay salaries and that was all?
Did he even pay the salaries? Didn't you see the policemen that said they wouldn't work for him anymore, that they had not been paid? So what did he pay? He ended up doing nothing. Tinubu himself in his speech acknowledged that it was all a mess, it was a sham.
Really?
Yes. What did they achieve? Local government elections. You could have, if the local government election that Fubara held wasn't acceptable, it's something that could have been decided at a round table. Because now you have three matters. The local government election that Wike held, that matter is still on ground before he left. Then you have the one that Fubara held. Mm-hmm. Then you now have the one that Ibas held. Mm-hmm. Those three. Mm-hmm. They are still in contention in court too.
So who is the rightful?
Because Tinubu said there are 40 cases.
Yes.
So take note that one, the issue of the legality of Fubara's suspension is before the Supreme Court, which has sadly refused to sit on it. That is one. There is the issue of there is the issue of the local government elections. There are other issues. There are other issues here and there, tangential issues, 40 court cases. And you think they'll be disposed of, even if this administration spends 8 years. Those cases, they are going to produce some fundamental shifts in Nigeria's electoral system. That is why I want politicians. You are not God. You are there to serve the people, not to try to rewrite, reinvent the wheel, or to be, you're not God. All of these things could have been resolved easily. After all, there was a problem in the Lagos House of Assembly. Was it not resolved through dialogue? There was an issue in Benue State between the governor and the House of Assembly. Was it not resolved? Even in Zamfara State, there was an issue. They had a problem. I think the former governor had a problem. In fact, we've had issues of governors and the House of Assembly, or governors and speakers having problems. I remember many years ago in the life of this Fourth Republic, a deputy governor was impeached. I don't want to mention this, is a northern state. And one of the things they said the deputy governor did was that he didn't know how to greet properly.
That was why he was sacked.
That he cannot greet properly. What happened? He said there was a day the speaker was in his office to see him, but he had visitors. And he kept the speaker waiting. So that became an offense. So that tells you how ridiculous, our politicians have become. So dialogue can resolve all of these things. There was no need to have brought in a sole administrator. The budget that, Fubara, the 2024 budget, had been eclipsed. It had been overtaken by events. The 2025 budget, look at how the Supreme Court, brought the House of Assembly back. That matter is still, is among the 40 cases in court. Now, the first thing the Assembly did was to say he should represent the budget. The day he went to present the budget, Fubara said he was locked out by the House of Assembly. Then the next thing they talked of initiating impeachment proceedings. Their godfather, Nyesom Wike, has been the one talking all over the place. And you see, when a man talks too much, you know what the man does? He ends up even contradicting himself. Because all that Fubara needs to do is just keep quiet and be watching. But you see, the game of politics, those who try to play God will outplay themselves. They will outsmart themselves. Go and write it down. What is today's date? Today is 24th of September. If interestingly, today is even the World Day of Peace. So today, people are not supposed to quarrel or fight. Yes, it's part of the World Day of Peace. People are not supposed to fight or quarrel. Today, if somebody offends,
all wars should cease.
What ordinarily?
Israeli, Palestine,
all of that.
Ukraine, Russia.
There should be no fighting today. In the World Day of Peace, there should be no fighting. Even husband and wife. If your wife used to give you 3 pieces of meat, in fact, that would be surprising in this economy. Your wife used to give you 3 pieces of meat and gives you 1 piece. Just overlook it, manage it, because
until tomorrow.
World Day of by tomorrow the food would have digested. You would have forgotten, unless the man is not matured, you know. Because the wife will remind him, how much did you bring to last time? That you're expecting, you know, much meat. But I digress.
Yes.
So what I'm saying is that, you see, I think Wike should find a way to, you know, control himself. You don't stretch your... Even Tinubu, who has been the godfather in Lagos politics, has also given, you know, some form of liberty to, you know, governors, local government chairmen, councillors, House of Assembly members, even though he has been instrumental to choosing them, but he has
allowed them the freedom.
He has found a way to manage frictions without getting himself directly involved. And that is how you saw Peter Obi said he wasn't interested in being a godfather or anything. Even the choice of Willie Obiano as governor was not his making. It was Victor Ome who brought Willie Obiano and said he must be our candidate.
But there are contradictory stories.
No, you can ask people who know about it. Even Victor Ome now has run with Peter Obi. After he was displaced in Abga, he ran to Labour Party with Peter Obi. So the point is that, if you call yourself a godfather or a mentor, you should not be seen, you know, to be overreaching yourself, because with time, Tinubu is going to get tired of Nyesom Wike. He'll get tired of him. Because the only thing that the only thing that he achieved was the conduct of local government election. He didn't even complete the House of Assembly. The new House of Assembly that Fubara said he would complete. Yes. Fubara wanted to complete the House of Assembly. The illegal sole administrator didn't complete it. He didn't complete it. Look at, there was refuse all over Port Harcourt. So what was the point? What was the point? Nothing. Because 6 months were just wasted for nothing. 6 months are wasted for nothing.
So historically, when we name the governors that have led River State, would his picture be there?
Oh, no. Well, you know, because that matter,
in chronological order,
that matter is still in court.
Yes.
It's just like in Plateau State. Do you hear anybody talking about the person who was sole administrator? Or when they're coming up with Ekiti State governor, do you hear anybody? All those things were discharged by the Supreme Court. They were declared illegal by the Supreme Court. And it was on that basis that Joshua Dariye came back now. Even Ladoja, his impeachment was declared illegal. Peter Obi, his impeachment was voided by the court. So at the end of the day, it's just a waste of time. It's just a waste of time, because they will just take his portrait and keep in one backyard place like that. So he just went there just to have a jolly good time, not to achieve anything. It's not infrastructure he achieved. He just appointed people. Now, the House of Assembly has asked Fubara to present a fresh list of commissioners.
Okay.
I'm hearing that Wike, Minister of Federal Capital Territory, has said that all the commissioners who started with Fubara, even the chief of staff, that there must be people nominated by him, the first set of people, including commissioners who resigned.
But he denied it outrightly.
Okay.
He denied it.
Don't worry. By next week, we shall see what will happen. Whether he will allow Fubara.
He said he will give him the freedom to do whatever.
We are watching. Is it your Nyesom?
Yes, so he said.
We shall see, because you see, even Wike himself, I think people need to talk to him. He's in his 60s. He's not a child anymore. How could you say, if we didn't want the state of emergency to end, we could have done 1 or 2 things? So what you are saying indirectly is that you were the one behind the state of emergency. Because Tinubu said that anarchy was about to break out.
Yeah.
He was blaming the governor. Now somebody is saying that he could have done 1 or 2 things to make the state of emergency, to extend the state of emergency. Even when the National Assembly had expressed desire to discontinue with the state of emergency. So what are we talking about? Why don't politicians see themselves as guardians of democracy, as builders of the nation? Let them see themselves as builders of the nation. Because this nation belongs to all of us. Yes, people ask the question that it was alleged that it was Fubara's people that bombed the assembly. There have been allegations here and there, but all in all, it is not, in a war, it is not about who is right, but who is left, who is remaining. And that is what matters. Fubara is back. I congratulate him. Because honestly, I admire his resilience, his patience. And look at what he said. There was a line in his speech that I love so much. He said, nothing has been irretrievably lost. So just telling people, just take it easy. Take this as just a...
So that is not a sign of cowardice?
No. He's not the commander-in-chief now. Even the Nigerian military that has been fighting insurgents, how far have they gone? How far have they gone? They are still fighting. Because it's not easy. It's better to judge than to war, like that saying goes. So the thing is very simple. Wike, Fubara, they belong to the same political family. Now they brought their quarrel to the national level to disturb us. But we also have our own issues to disturb us, which they could have sat in a room to iron out. There was nothing. There was no need to have bombed the House of Assembly. There was no need for the House of Assembly to have said he wanted to impeach Fubara. If it's about getting Fubara to APC, that's not a big deal. I was telling some people yesterday, I said, let me tell you something, that today in Nigeria, all you know are individuals called politicians.
Sorry for that.
All you know are individuals called politicians, that you don't have politicians that belong to political parties. You all just have individuals that are called politicians, So they belong to all the political parties, to all the political parties,
So it's just about, sandwiching from one place, transitioning from one place to another.
Tinubu tried to get, what's his name? Soludo. To move to APC. Soludo said, no, can I be a kingpin, the leader in one party? Then you now want me to go and subsume myself under APC that has established leaders and structures in Anambra State, that I can work for you, even from in Africa. So, the point to note there is this, that there's no need, there's no need to the point to note is that there is no need for, people to bother themselves so much about whether whether Fubara goes to APC. Wike is still in PDP. The members of the House of Assembly are still in PDP.
The governor is equally still with the PDP.
So you see, Nigeria today's politics is not about which party you belong to. Governor Adeleke of Osun State, what party does he belong to? He's in PDP. He's in PDP.
He's in PDP.
But his deputy has been holding meetings with APC members. So the thing to note is that, look, the political culture in Nigeria has become so bastardized that nobody knows where anybody is. You've heard some Wike asking what platform does Peter Obi belong to? But Peter Obi is a member of Labour Party, but they want to know where he's running or what platform he's running, and all of those things. So that's part of the political culture, the bastardized political culture in Nigeria. So Tinubu couldn't have declared a state of emergency because he wanted Fubara to move to APC. No, why? There's no need for that. Even if he says it's not moving. If Tinubu organizes his campaign, well, he can still win Rivers State, even though the 2023 result was said to have been tampered with.
Yeah, very well.
Rivers State was said to have been won by Peter Obi. So when you put all of those things together, you just find out that it's just the bastardized political culture. It's not about whether Fubara is going to APC or not. Yes, there was violence. Yes, pipelines were said to have been vandalized. House of Assembly was bombed. People were killed. 5 people were killed after the election, after the local government election, and all of those things. But for me, those things could have been avoided. Those things could have been avoided. If you ask me, it could have been avoided with dialogue. You know, politics is all about personal interest. It's not about personal, it's not about friends or enemies, permanent friends or permanent enemies.
But I've said it over and over again, you know, when I have the opportunity. Fubara is a matured person. He is an adult. And most of the time, when an adult has something going on, when he has stuff, you know, on his sleeves there, it might not be unknown to the next person. Do you see a Fubara who might code switch swiftly, unpredictably, beyond what Nyesom, Wike and Bola Tinubu have going on?
Anything is possible. Like they say in politics, 24 hours is a long time. If 24 hours is a long time, you can imagine the 2027 is still far.
Still far. And lots of things
will happen. Anything is possible.
That will distort all of these things going on.
You know, when people say Tinubu will win the second time, I say how? Based on what? Because he's God Almighty. Based on what? Based on what? All the attempts they've made to undermine Labour Party and PDP, how far have they gone? Because even within his administration, there are people also working against him. Look at the governor of Ekiti State, Oyebanji, came out to say that there are members of APC who are working against his second term ambition. So if there are things like that, look, Jonathan, what happened? It happened before our eyes now.
Yeah, he was endorsed by how many governors?
He was endorsed by governors, traditional rulers endorsed him, all of that. You know, somebody, a former governor, acknowledged, you know, in court how he spent, was it 4 billion or 40 billion or so on marabouts. So all of these preparations were made everywhere. You had the Ifeanyi Oba transition ambassadors of Nigeria. What happened? He said he recruited 10,000 across Nigeria to, you know, campaign for Jonathan. What happened? And all of these things happened in a space of 18 months. If you remember, Atiku Abubakar led, was it 4 PDP governors? In November 20, APC was registered in 2013, April. November 2013, Atiku led 4 PDP governors. 1 later joined, you know, from PDP to APC. And then look at how things started happening. Within how many months? Just within 18 months, a lot of things, you know, changed. Members of the National Assembly started defecting from PDP to APC. But look at today, in Abia State, the only APC member of the House of Assembly defected to Labour Party because he said he had nothing to criticize the governor about. It has become a standing joke in Abia State. I don't know if you saw the video where he said that look, there's nothing for me to criticize the governor about because everything I had to criticize the governor about, he has done
everything.
He has sorted out everything. So that tells you, it's so interesting. That tells you that politics is not something you can easily predict. APC member has moved to Labour Party. Some other lawmakers have moved from APC as well. Look at ADC, African Democratic Congress. It's gaining ground.
Even despite the issues they have with the chairmanship and all that.
Oh, those ones, it's just politics. Even PDP doesn't have an elected chairman now. PDP doesn't have an elected National Working Committee. The same to APC. APC doesn't have an elected National Working Committee. It was Yewata. He was elected at a national convention. He wasn't now. So it was just by consensus. So none of them. Look at even in Labour Party. Abure is still struggling still claiming he's the chairman of Labour Party. Even when Senator Nenadi Usman has been rightly declared as the national chairman of Labour Party. So politics is one game you cannot predict at all. Sworn enemies can become friends. The best of friends can become enemies.
Because it's actually very interesting to see El-Rufai, hand in hand with Peter Obi, and seated together. Yes. And one is wondering, really this is happening in Nigeria?
You see, let me tell you something. Look at the case of Kemi Badenoch in the UK, how she's been talking. Trying to appeal to, to voters and all of that. Why? She's trying to compete with and outdo Nigel Farage, of the Reform Party UK. But Nigel Farage is also fighting his own type of political battle. In the last council polls, you saw the Reform Party swept seats for the Conservatives from Labour Party. So it's all about politics. Now, Kemi Badenoch says that the political class, they don't even accept her. Because of her, they don't want to identify with her because of her race, because of her color, blah 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 blah, and all of those things. So, at the end of the day, that's how politics plays out. J.D. Vance, who is the Vice President of the United States, was a strong critic of Donald Trump.
Yeah, very well, very so well.
But today he's this Vice President, and you can go on and on and on. You can go across, even across Nigeria. Someone who never wanted to become governor of Lagos State now. He was just hoping to maybe be chief of staff to the man who is the deputy governor, Hamzat. Yes, because someone was a commissioner. I think he was commissioner for housing also. But today, someone is the governor, Hamzat is deputy. We can go from state to state. In fact, if we were to sit down and do an analysis of how politics has evolved in Nigeria, in fact, is a full 1 hour discussion, 25 years. We can go from place to place to place. Tinubu and Obasanjo were enemies. As at 2001, when they created those LCDs. And you saw how things panned out. But when Tinubu was running for president, he went to visit Obasanjo. Yeah. You saw how Obasanjo held his hand and led him into
the inner room. Yeah.
You can go on and on. Look at Chimaroke Nnamani, that was governor of Enugu State. The people he was fighting against, all of them are now in the same party. Ken Nnamani is now in the same party with APC with Ken Nnamani. With Sullivan Chime. He's not in the same APC with them.
Look at Sheriff Oborowori and Omo Agege.
I mean,
the list goes on and on.
I mean, just imagine. How possible is that? I mean, look at Soludo of Anambra in Abga. Soludo who have been in PDP,
APC, running around.
Down. So that is it. Was it Hope Uzodinma? Did you expect that Hope Uzodinma and Rochas Okorocha would be enemies? But they were all working together before. What happened? You can go on and on. Even Tinubu and Aregbesola, are they still together? They are no longer together. So that is the nature of politics. That's why you see supporters of politicians are enjoined not to take these issues to heart. Don't break your alliances, your friendships with people. Don't break your families because of politics. But some people, because of Buhari, Jonathan Mata, families are not even relating together. Families have been broken up. Friendships have broken up. Why? Why? Because of politics. A fickle thing. Let people be wiser. Politicians, yes, they fight each other and all of that. But at the end of the day, they still know how they meet. And at the end of the day, you can see some of the things that Peter Obi has been talking about. They are the things Tinubu is talking about now. There was a time they were, mocking Peter Obi. That statistics but now they are the ones promoting statistics. They are the ones using statistics. So it's all politics is just a game. It's not a do or die affair. One person is only one person at a time that can occupy one office. That person will surely leave. No matter how long the person stays there. The person, Ekweremadu was in the Senate for how long? I think about 12 years.
12 years.
Today, he's not in Senate. So
very, very interesting time to see some of these things happen in Nigeria. But most importantly, just like Emeka did say, politics will come and go. It's a transition. But as humans, as Nigerians, we still remain. And which is why I think it's very important for us to love one another, care for one another, and see to it that we support one another. Interestingly, the money we spend does not decide where it goes to. It doesn't segregate. So when you go to the marketplace and offer 1,000 naira NOF currency to an Igbo man coming from a Yoruba man, he doesn't say because it's coming from a Yoruba man, I won't collect.
The money
or the other way around.
You spend today can go to your enemy by the
So you see why it's so interesting that we do not, fool ourselves with all of these things that we see going, especially coming from, political people or members or stakeholders who are really, doing this. And I think we would have a wonderful time. So congratulations once more to Siminalayi Fubara, who played a little bit soft and ensured all of this, passes away, softens away, and the transition goes on and on. 2027 is still a long time away, and a developing story it is. And right here on Enterprise Television, we promise to bring them to you. Thank you so very much, Emeka, for being here. Truly do appreciate you. All right, people. Thank you for making this a day. Please do well to follow us. You can always find us at enterprisetvnews.com. You may equally like, comment, and follow us on all our social media platforms at Enterprise TV 7. I am Henry Igwebike. Thank you for watching. Have yourself a splendid weekend. Don't drink and drive, but most importantly, stay safe wherever you find yourself. Thank you, and bye-bye from us.